Hey guys, we're here to talk about the fifth film released in the new Imprint boutique Blu-ray label range from ViaVision Australia. Waterloo, yeah. It's alright. Certainly not my, it's not my sort of film. It's very, very driven of history, like historically driven. That's the word I'm looking for. Acted superbly though, like the acting in this is fantastic. Definitely a movie that I probably wouldn't have watched or ever have watched if it wasn't the fact that it was in this new Imprint range. Now, it looked awesome, looked fantastic. It was a proper widescreen with the black bars at top and bottom. I love that. Full 1080p presentation. Really, really, really good. Very slow burn. Like it feels like there's about I don't know, 40 minutes or so of the film that you probably could just edit out. Like it's really slow burn. But essentially it's about the lead up and then the battle at Waterloo that Napoleon famously lost. It starts off with him getting exiled with 1,000 of his men, and then King Louis is taken over England. I believe that was in 1814 or 1816 or something like that, or mid 1800s. Not mid 1800s, but you know what I mean. I think about 1812 or 18 something like that. But the lead up to the battle takes ages. Like they really, really dig in deep about how he got exiled and then he comes back, and then everybody, King Louis sends his old general with his army to go and meet him to stop him at the fronts from where he came. So I think he went to some island. I can't remember the name of the island, but he goes to an island and ends up coming back to reclaim France and then further into Europe. But all his army and his officers, they want him back, so they don't fight him. They join his cause, and then he gets his France back, and he gets the capital back, and King Louis has to go. I think it's King Louis the Eighth. He has to, he's got to get the fuck out of there, otherwise he's going to get killed. Now, it really, they really emphasize on all the history and all the bits leading up to the Battle of Waterloo, and I'm sure that's important, but I really had a hard time following it. I didn't really know what was going on, especially with the language they use. It's all in English, of course, but it's their terminology and the stuff that they use, and it was a little bit of a drag, a little bit of a hard watch until the final battle. Now, this final battle goes for about 40 minutes, and it's not as full on as, say, something from Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or something like that in terms of action, but the sheer size of the battlefield was unreal. You watch it for just that battle alone. I don't know how many people they got to make the battle scene, but there are thousands of people. It looks like I know they got a couple of armies, like the Czech Republic army and I think some Scottish Guard or something like that to be the extras in the big battle scene. And it is massive, absolutely massive. There's seemingly thousands of people in this scene that goes for about 40 minutes, and it was just awesome. A lot of strategic sort of attacks going on, and then talking about, and they try to do the counterattacks, and then it's really good. I didn't understand any of it, but it looked awesome. If something they had, I'm guessing there would have been helicopter shots, so you could see all the little battle formations and stuff like that. Very similar to the Battle of Redcliffe films, how they show those sort of shots and that sort of thing. But I know the Battle of Redcliffe, they use a lot of CG and stuff like that. But there's no CG in this. It is all people, all horses, all explosions from the guns and from the cannons, and all real fire and real swords and all that sort of stuff. It just was really cool. I mean, that alone, I couldn't even imagine how you would go making that battle scene, because I was reading the credits and there was only 2 camera operators, so their work rate must have been through the roof to try and get all of that. But yeah, very impressive, very impressive. Again, it goes for 2 hours and 13 minutes, and it's from 1970, so definitely have the ability to make something like this, but I don't know how they did it. It was just very, very impressive, and I'm glad I watched it for that alone. Now, I like, as I said before, I probably wouldn't have ever watched this movie if it wasn't for the fact that it was part of this new Imprint range. So I'm glad that it is, and I hope that they do more movies like this, because I want to watch it. I want to watch films like these, and I'm not going to watch them unless they're probably in this new range. I want to know more about, you know, historical dramas and historical battles and stuff like that, and I feel this is probably the only way I'm going to do it. A good one, I reckon, for this range would be the 300 Spartans. I doubt they like the original 300, not the 300 that we all know, but it's called 300 Spartans. Same story, but sort of will probably look a little bit like this in terms of quality and production value and stuff like that. But it's awesome. It's a really good film, and I think would be a really good suit for this. Don't know if they can get it, because I think it's a pretty well known. It's probably Warner Brothers or something like that. But yeah, definitely. I think you've got to be hard to recommend, because I think you've got to be into these sort of films to appreciate it more. I appreciated it from a scale perspective in terms of how large the final battle scene was, and then the whole time I was just thinking about how did they do this. So I could appreciate it for that, and I'm glad I watched it for that. Everything leading up to it, I really couldn't care less about, and I found it rather boring. Had no idea what was going on whatsoever. Really struggled with their names of the characters, aside from Napoleon himself. But to take nothing away from the actual people in the roles, they did a great job. It was so good, especially in the battle scene. That battle scene was amazing. No special features. Oh, sorry, there's a Sheldon Hall on Waterloo feature, which I'm definitely not going to watch. So maybe that's why they didn't bother putting much on there, because they figured we're going to get people to barely watch the film, let alone the special features. But yeah, if you like these sort of movies, you should love it. If you don't, maybe just YouTube the final battle scene or something like that. But I recommend watching that battle scene. That was the highlight of the movie for me, for sure. Yeah, this is number 5 and disc number 2077. So 2076 other people before me also have a copy of this film, and are probably just as disappointed, except for the last scene. Yeah, it's Waterloo. Could escape because I won the war.